Pretty simple. Basically, it's an entire wheel of what a rainbow would look like if you actually saw an entire one in nature. We're going to be starting with some very, very simple materials here. Just a piece of paper with a printed circle on it. You can find that in the materials underneath the video here. And some colored pencils. You can use crayons if you like. I'm going to be starting with a red, an orange, a yellow, not that yellow, this yellow, a green, a blue, and a violet. And we're going to throw in an indigo just for good measure in there. So we have 7 colors to begin with. Now, starting with our red, I want you to take red, yellow, and blue and move the rest of them aside for the moment. We're going to start with the little red triangle on top here, and we're going to, starting with the sides, we're going to shade our way in with whatever you've got, crayon, colored pencil, whatever media you choose to use. At the top of it's going to be red. And try and get it as nice and as bold and vibrant as you can. All right. Doing my best here. Drawing on wood. And then once that's done, I want you to take that top little wedge of that circle, and I want you to fill it in as well with the exact same color red. Again, starting from the edges and working your way in. Next, we're going to start with yellow. I'm holding it sort of like a sculpting tool, but you don't have to do it like that if you want to. But the reason why I do it is because it's really fun to shade with that way. Again, we're starting from the edges, working our way in. With that bottom rightmost triangle. And then we're going to take that wedge that it's touching to, that it's pointing to, and we're going to fill that one in as well. Exactly the same way. Do a couple touch-ups in there. Then we're going to take that last remaining triangle and we're going to fill it in with blue. Exactly the same way. You might be noticing that some of my coloring goes outside the lines. That's okay. You don't need to make this perfect. What is important is that you understand what we're doing here. Then we're going to touch that last little wedge there on the circle and fill in with blue as well. So we've got blue, we've got red, and we've got yellow. Those are our primary colors. With those 3, you can make every other color that you can see in a rainbow. That's red. There's yellow, can barely see it, but it's there. And blue. Yellow is the highest value of all the colors. It's the brightest, technically, closest to white. All right, pretty good start. Next, what I want you guys to do is we're going to create our secondary colors, the ones that you can actually blend with yellow and red in order to make. And yellow and blue, and then blue and red. And some of you may have a good idea as to which ones those are. We're going to get green, we're going to get purple or violet, and we're going to get orange. So let's start with orange. First off, you see that little, the rightmost triangle that's pointing up to the edge? All right, I want you to color in that wedge that triangle is pointing to. Do it exactly the same way. Do it with your orange, exactly as I'm doing here. All right, and then take that triangle that is pointing towards that orange wedge, and I want you to fill it in as well. You can see the colors touching that orange triangle are the ones that go into making orange, red, and yellow. Trying to get it nice and bold as we can. All right, next, we're going to do exactly the same thing with the bottommost wedge right there. This one's going to be green, obviously. Pardon the shaking. There was no earthquake. I'm just rattling the camera with my pencil strokes. And then you're going to fill in the triangle that's pointing down to that bottommost circle wedge, filling it in as best you can from the edges. Again, that's going to be green as well. And notice that the two colors touching that triangle are, of course, blue and yellow. Those are the primaries that go into making that particular secondary color green. Last, of course, is purple or violet. So color in, I guess that would be the 10 o'clock. If you have a watch, like a wall clock or a watch, fill in that wedge of the circle with purple or violet, and then do the exact same thing with the triangle that is touching both red and blue. All right, there we have our secondary colors. 3 and 3. So blue and yellow, green, orange is red and yellow, and purple is blue and red. So I'll go down there and I'll fill in our little continuing spectrum down there underneath primary colors. There's orange between yellow and red. There's green between yellow and blue. And then there's going to be violet between blue and red. There's actually one more in between, but we'll get to that in a second. About halfway there, everybody. You're doing great. All right. Next, we're going to get the last of our colors. We're going to get 6 colors. Now, I didn't have a whole lot of blended tertiary colors. That is like 3 colors of red and orange or orange and yellow. I had to blend them together with my color pencils. You, with a box of crayons, might be lucky enough to actually have some yellow oranges and red purples or red violets. So use whatever tools you feel most comfortable with. If you want to blend them, that's great, but make sure to do what I'm doing right here, and that is to sort of like layer them gently, sort of like sketch them in kind of lightly if you can. That's why I use this technique of sort of shading in from the sides, because it lets me sort of layer my colors in a little bit nicer. As you can tell, that's kind of a pretty good red-orange there with my colored pencils. You probably have a red-orange crayon. Just do your best with what you got. There, I'm going to do another little pass on that red right there, make it a little bit brighter, more intense. But that's a pretty good continuation of the spectrum there. So I'm going to set aside my red. Next is going to be a yellow-orange. So I'm laying in my orange there. Again, kind of lightly. I'm sketching it, coloring it, sort of like holding the pencil like a sculpting tool. Then I'm layering in my yellow on top of that. That's my tertiary in between orange and yellow. Very good. Not too shabby. And again, make that orange pop out a little bit more. I think that looks better, don't you? Very good. Next, we're going to do yellow-green. Set aside our orange, pick up our yellow. Sketch in some light orange there. Then do a quick pass on the green. It's not quite as yellow as I would have liked. So I'm going to do one more pass on the yellow there. It kind of actually blends it all in kind of nicely. Like I said before, you don't have to do it like I'm doing. Use whatever tools you've got available. That works pretty well, though. Make that pop out a little bit better. Not too shabby. Okay, put aside my green. Or actually, no, not put aside my green. Put aside my yellow. This is going to be our blue-green. So lay in some light blue, and then do a light pass of the green. almost be like a turquoise or a cyan. Those are also tertiary colors. Not too bad. Next is going to be our blue violet or bluish purple. Another way of calling this bluish violet is indigo. It's going to be our 7th color in that little layout underneath where I've written primary colors. There we go, laying in some light blue, or in this case a lightly with a dark blue, and then throwing in some violet on top of that, working in from the sides, trying to match the intensity. Not too shabby. Could be a little warmer, I guess. There we go. And then last but not least, we've got a very red violet, or reddish purple. It would help if I picked up the right pencil. There we go. Set that down and then pick up some purple and layer that in. I think I can get that a little bit darker. A little bit more intense. Let's try a little bit more red. You guys watching this probably have already gotten it by now. All right. Pretty good. One more little pass. There we go. Okay. Now, a couple of things when you're looking at our completed, I'll throw in a little eye there. When you're looking at our completed color wheel here, you may be noticing that there is specific sides. We've got a lot of cool colors down on one side. We've got a lot of warm colors on the other. That's very distinctive to the way that we've laid out our color wheel here. Let me rearrange this here. So our center colors here are our primaries, red, blue, and yellow, secondaries, purple, orange, and green, and then all our tertiaries that sort of fill in the gaps. Those are our warm colors. As you can tell, up on the upper right and lower left, we've got our cool colors, meaning the ones that have more blue. The warms have more red. And you also may notice that, well, you probably don't, unless you've done a lot of coloring before, if your colors are on the opposite end of the color wheel, they tend to fight a lot, like red and green, for example. That means they're complementary colors. That means they don't really complement each other. What it means is they make conflicting or contrasting a lot easier. So if you want your reds to pop out, put them against green, for example. Yeah, so the complementary of red is green, complementary of green is red, complementary of orange is blue, and vice versa. And all the colors on the color wheel have those complementaries right across from them. Makes it very, very easy. And you may be wondering if colors ever appear in any other order other than Roy G. Biv down the bottom, ROYGBIV, and the answer is no. Every spectrum, every rainbow you've ever seen has been exactly like that. So, what ideas did you come up with today? Thank you very much for watching.